Hey everyone, and happy Monday. Here we are. We now have a Final Four, Chris. We've been talking about it for 2 weeks now, and now, surprise, surprise, we got Villanova, we got Kansas, we got Duke, we got North Carolina. So four teams that no one ever heard of are in the Final Four.
Yeah, gee, it just sounds like somebody wrote the true Hollywood story of how the NCAA tournament was going to pan out since it was
Right.
Krzyzewski's last year, because, of course, they're there in the Final Four, much to the chagrin of probably plenty of people. I know
Mm-hmm.
for every person like Allie that loves Duke, there's 5 or 6 that don't.
They don't, yeah.
I'm personally not a fan of Duke, never have been. Not for any particular era of play. I just never got into the way the Blue Devils played basketball. I guess I liked Indiana back in the 80s because, Bob Knight was controversial and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And, he drew eyes to basketball back then. It was that or the Big East because that's what was on TV the majority of
Sure.
the time. You didn't see a lot of these other teams.
Well,
Um,
the ACC was very regional at that time. It was
yeah, it was what, Raycom Sports or something like that.
right. It was Thacker and Packer. Jim Thacker
Packer,
was the
Packer.
play-by-play, and Billy Packer was the color analyst. So it
And
was
of course,
Thacker and Packer.
and then of course now you see Billy Packer, or you did. I don't. Did he even? Is he done doing tournaments now?
Yeah.
I was gonna say I didn't think I had heard his name mentioned at all this year.
No, it's been many years since Billy uh,
Because there was him and
originally it
somebody
was,
else.
if you remember back in the day, TVS, which was Eddie Einhorn's group, did college basketball. I mean, no major network wanted it. It wasn't until 1979, which was the championship that Magic and Larry had, when NBC even got into it. And when NBC got into it, they hired Eddie Einhorn to develop it for them. And Billy Packer was part of Eddie Einhorn's group. And then, so it was Dick Enberg, Billy Packer, and Al McGuire. Those were the first three guys who were the big names. Now, the other big name, who was with TVS, of course, was Dick Enberg. And so he was the voice of UCLA basketball and also of TVS. So,
The legendary Eddie Einhorn, who
yep.
bought the Chicago franchise in the USFL and then did nothing with it
Yeah, well,
because the market,
Eddie, Eddie, Eddie was a.
I know you don't want to talk bad about him because he was you worked for them before.
I worked with him. I worked for him. Doesn't
That's
mean
it.
he was. Eddie was loud. Okay, that was Eddie. Eddie, you knew he was in the room, no matter where you were, and he made it certain that you did. But all that being said, the college basketball that we are enjoying right now wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Eddie Einhorn, because he really elevated it and made it into an event.
I guess
And
the toughest part for me is the fact now that it always used to just be on one channel, and now you've got to bounce around 42 different channels, and it makes it a little bit more difficult because you have to figure out which team is on what channel at what time in the first couple rounds.
yeah, it's it's back when I was working, when we had NCAA tournament time. It was at that point we aired some games on ESPN, and so I was on the ESPN group, and we got the first week we got, and then as it got closer, then it went over to NBC, and then that was a shared deal, and then finally it was on NBC. Then CBS jumped into it, and it was the commissioner, ironically, of the American Association. I'm sorry, the American Athletic Conference, the AAC, um, who coined the phrase March Madness and developed the relationship with Turner, and Mike Oresco is the father of what we now know as the package we watch of March Madness. So kudos to Mark and to Mike Oresco and the gang and all the folks who were doing what they're doing.
And like Michael said, he said that was going to be one of those things that Purdue loses. Well, the biggest problem that Purdue had against St. Peter's is they forgot that they
They
had
were tall.
a bunch of tall guys.
Right.
Because for God's sake, why were they shooting threes all the time? Everybody was talking about, Stefanovic was jacked up, 7 threes in the first half or something
Yeah.
like that. That's not Purdue's game. Purdue's main advantage in the thing was the fact that, hey, we've got a guy that's 7'4", and we got a guy that's 6'10", and you
And you
guys don't.
Yeah.
But no, let's try and shoot threes, and that hasn't been Purdue's strong suit.
No.
I mean, they're a good 3-point shooting team percentage-wise, but they didn't shoot a lot of them. And the bottom line was you had a massive size advantage. Why didn't you use it? Matt Painter is going to be answering that question all year long. He's now Trevion Williams, of course, will be gone because he was a senior. Jaden Ivey will probably declare for the draft. Edie probably could declare for the draft. If I was him, I would stay in school because then you can just dominate everybody else in the Big Ten for another year.
Right.
And who knows, maybe by then he'll be 7'6" and 350 instead of 7'4" and 295.
You never know.
But I mean, the bottom line was it was piss poor game management by Matt Painter. There's no other way to put it. I mean, you fired up 21 threes and hit 5, but you were 18 of 33 from inside the arc.
I do feel badly for Villanova because, the kid, excuse me, gets hurt and it's very unlikely that he will play. And
from what they said today, he tore his Achilles. He's not.
Well, then that means he'd be lucky if he can get back and perhaps even try out for the National Basketball Association.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I had read this morning. Justin Moore.
Yeah, but Justin Moore was. I mean, he was their big, and they don't have a lot of bigs to begin with, and he was their big, and
he actually underwent surgery already. So
all right, so.
This morning, so he's
so that's going to put Kansas in a really good position. And then you got a rematch of the game that took place about 4 weeks ago, the last game of the season at Cameron Indoor with UNC taking on Duke.
Yeah,
and for all the grief that we gave the ACC this year, they showed up at the tournament time. If Miami would have won, they'd had 3 teams in the Final Four.
Yeah, Bill, we did see Will Smith slap Chris Rock. Jim said he was trying to get Vegas to sanction a fight. I don't know if Jim talked to Lou DiBella or
either
Bob Arum.
It was or Bob Arum's group. Yeah. The problem with that is that either Will's going to have to come down in weight or Chris is going to have to come up in weight because they're not exactly the same size. So wonder if he'd have done that if The Rock had made that joke. And we'll see.
If that was the case, we would have been having a eulogy for Will Smith today as opposed to...
It would have been a memorial service, yes. So anyway, that was kind of took over from pretty much everything else, which is kind of silly this morning. But I guess everybody had a good weekend. They all must have won.
That's a tough one, Nathan. I know that Miami played well for a half yesterday.
They did.
Yeah, had you chased it for the first half and not switched to the last second, you would have been good. Too bad you didn't take Kansas for the second half instead of the first, because that second half was a slaughter.
That was a clinic.
And Sly said somewhere, Juwan Howard is laughing.
Well, look at it this way. He didn't slap Chris Rock, so there's that, which is a good thing. And it is what it is. We do our best, and that's what we can do. And we got everybody must remember that a week from today, the championship game will be on TBS. Okay, not CBS. It's part of the deal. So TBS gets
that's weird too.
The championship, and that is. That's something new. All right, before we get moving here, and we will get moving, let's talk a little bit about our sponsors from Caesar Sportsbook. Now, Caesar Sportsbook March Madness promo is in effect. Bet $20 on any men's college basketball team. Get $200 free if you bet free bet, I'm sorry, if your team scores a single point. Now, chances are very good that unless you're shooting from three like St. Peter's did the other day, you will score a point. So odds boosts and profit boosts do not qualify for this event. You must use the promo code, which is down in our box below, which is WAW, Winners and Winers, MAR, the first three letters of the month of March, and the number 2. All right, so all that's in the show box below. Remember that you must be 21 years of age to play, and always, always, always bet responsibly. Okay, so here we go to the big board. And on the big board today, the South Alabama Jaguars and the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers.
It's the semifinals of the basketball classic. I know everybody's thrilled about it because those are the 2 games on the slate today.
Toughest ticket to get.
Yeah, tomorrow's the NIT. So maybe that'll be a little more entertaining because there'll be teams that people have actually paid some attention to during the course of the year. Because that'll have St. Bonaventure and Xavier and Texas A&M, and I forgot who the 4th team is, so they're probably not important. Do you know who the 4th team in the NIT is, Jim?
I was afraid you were going to ask. I'll look it up while we're...
Well, I can pull it up here real quick.
I got it.
As I say, I still have Ken Palm open, so... Texas A&M is playing Washington State. That's right.
Oh, Washington State. Okay.
Yeah, because they beat BYU, among other teams. But in this one, this line has actually moved quite a bit. It was South Alabama by 3.5 yesterday. It's down to a pick 'em now, but this game's coming to you from the Mitchell Center in Mobile. It's going to be
Mobile, Alabama.
Yep. So the Chants 18-13, 8-8 in the Sun Belt. Funnily enough, these were both Sun Belt teams. They're 4-5 on the road. The Jags 21-11. They're 9-7 in the conference. They were 15-2 at home. These teams met in February in Mobile, with South Alabama picking up a 71-68 victory in the lone meeting this season. Both teams are good defensively. The Jaguars 159 in scoring offense, 71.7 points a game. They're 63rd in field goal percentage, 71st inside the arc. They don't shoot a lot of threes, which is good because they don't shoot them overly well. And they struggle at the charity stripe at 69.6%. They're facing a Coastal Carolina defense that's very good. Cliff Ellis's team 43rd in scoring defense, 64.6. 4th in field goal percentage defense at 38.4. 48th in 2-point defense. They give up a lot of threes, but team seems to shoot a ton of 3-pointers against them, because if you look, they're 293rd in threes allowed at 8.1, but they're 15th in 3-point field goal percentage defense at 29.3%. Offensively, Coastal Carolina 122nd in scoring offense at 72.9, 112th in field goal percentage, 173rd in 2-point shooting, 176th in threes, 68th in 3-point shooting, and they struggle the line as well at 69.4%. Yeah, that line, like I said, might have looked a lot prettier when it was 3 or 3.5, but it's not anywhere like that now. Like I said, it's a pick 'em as of earlier this morning. Could have shifted again for all I know, because I did this about noon or so. Let me just see here if it's shifted any further. Now it's shifted back where South Alabama is favored by 1 or 1.5, depending on which book you go to. Caesars has South Alabama by 1. BetMGM has it by 1.5. But like I said, both teams play good defense. I think it's going to be home court advantage is going to be the difference here. The Chants 9-20 in their last 29 after an ATS win, and just 2-5-1 against the spread in their last 8 on the road after 3 or more at home. Like I said, South Alabama won against Coastal Carolina back in mid-February, 71-68 here. Look for them to win another tight one to move on to the TBC Finals. I know everybody's looking forward, has their VCR set to record that one.
Right.
Break out the Betamax and everything else. Ought to be a good time.
It will be. Time to rack up on those Cheetos. All right, so South Alabama's moving on. Who else is moving on?
I'm going with I think Fresno State's going to win this game.
Nathan wants to know you're right, Chris.
Well, like I said, the original line, I had seen it last night and saw it was 3.5. I would have liked it then, probably with Coastal, because anytime you get points is always a plus in some of these tight games. But I guess the Sharps have really driven the line back, so something to watch for. And this one, I think Fresno State will probably win the game outright. Mm-hmm. The weird thing about Fresno State is all of a sudden they decided, now that they're not playing in a tournament that anybody cares about, that they can play offense, because they've scored 83 and 80 points in their 2 tournament games when they barely hit, let me see, they hit 80 points twice in the regular season. And that was against Cal Poly and LIU.
Okay.
Nobody's really impressed by those 2 teams.
No.
If they get into a track meet with Southern Utah, they might have trouble because Southern Utah can score. They just can't play defense. You look here, Southern Utah is 21st in scoring offense, 78.6. They're 48th field goal percentage, 32nd inside the arc at 54.8%, 78th in threes at 8.5. They're shooting 34.7% from out there, and they're an average team at the stripe. Fresno State, very good defensively. Not going to take that away from Justin Hudson's team. They're 5th in the country at 59.3. They're 67th field goal percentage defense. They're 109th in 2-point defense. They give 7.1 triples a night. Opposing teams shoot just under 33% from out there. Fresno State, as good as they are defensively, they're terrible offensively. 307 scoring offense, 65.6 points a game. They play at a snail's pace. If you look at the numbers in tempo, Fresno State, 3rd slowest in the nation, 61.5 possessions a game. Southern Utah on the other side, 105th at 68.4 possessions a night. Yeah, if you can get 10, that's even better. I mean, it was 8.5 yesterday, then it went 7.5. Good move. Tim, you're going all the way out to the Spectrum Center. I don't know why some people still call it the Time Warner Cable Arena. I still like Denver. I don't like Charlotte. They're playing, what is the second game of back-to-back? Didn't they play yesterday? I know I watched so many different games over the weekend, so many different scores. They kind of all ran together.
I think you're going to enjoy watching the Nuggets. If you're a Nuggets fan, Tim, you'll be happy. If you're, a Hornets fan, maybe not so much.
Well, I mean, Tim always bets on a Jokic triple-double, so.
Oh, okay.
So let's see, just to see about that. Gordon Hayward, of course, will not play again for the Nuggets. It'll be the usual suspects are out. Porter Jr., of course, and Murray, because they both had surgery. Vlatko Kankar had surgery. Campazzo is questionable with a non-COVID illness. JaMychal Green questionable with a wrist sprain. All that means is you'll see more of Jeff Green, who I still can't believe he has a job.
Clearly, Tim is a Nuggets fan. So there you go, Timmy.
Oh, Tim is a Nuggets fan. All right.
Yeah. Well, and then of course Nathan wants to fit into my spicy Nuggets. So.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Nuggets. I think they're favored by 3.5. And
it's funny because Carolina, Charlotte's been had a nice run there, and then all the wheels fell off.
Charlotte is one of the most inconsistent teams that I've seen in the league all season.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, they had a couple strong stretches where they would win 6 or 7 in a row, and then they'd go right down the tubes. I mean, they were 9-6 in January. Then they went 2-10 in February, and they're 9-3 in March. It's like, make up your damn mind.
Right.
It's like that old Saturday Night Live skit with Chris Farley was El Nino, or that means the Nino. It just means that Charlotte's probably going to fall apart again in April, and end up playing in somewhere in the play-in game because they'll go 1-5 down the stretch, and then crater out. I mean, they beat the Nets yesterday. Good for you. I know the big thing now, of course, is the fact that Kyrie Irving can play at home. So there's that. They finally lifted that. Of course, he sucked yesterday, went 6 of 22 from the floor, which is probably what helped Charlotte in that game because he was 6 of 22. Andre Drummond, of course, did Andre Drummond things and missed a bunch of free throws. 6 of 11.
You do best there, bud.
Yeah. And Charlotte, if Charlotte could play consistent basketball, they might be worth something. But they're so up and down, you can't have a ton of faith in them. And now they've got to come home and play a Denver team that didn't play yesterday. I just think the Nuggets should win that one fairly easily, just because I don't trust Charlotte. Of course, now that I said that, LaMelo Ball will go for 55 or something, and
Right. They'll blow up big time.
Yeah, they'll win by like 30. Hopefully that's not the case, because if I know Tim wants to see the Nuggets. Yeah, back to the Southern Utah game. Fresno State 0-7 in their last 7 at home. There against the spread. They just have all kinds of issues. They're 0-6 as a home favorite in their last 6. Fresno State will probably win the game straight up, but I'll take the points in Southern Utah.
Elliot has a question with regard to Fresno, OKC, the Cavs.
I don't trust the Cavs. I've watched them struggle too much lately. I actually took Orlando with the points, which is a scary concept because I don't like Orlando any more than anybody else. But Cleveland is another team that has stumbled of late. They lost to the Bulls the other night, scored 94 points at home, no less. They've now dropped down to 41-33 on the year. They're still minus Jared Allen. They've gotten pretty much no guard play. I mean, they've got Garland back and LeVert's back now, but they don't have a veteran leader to lean on because they're not playing Kevin Love much. And Rondo, I think he's been out for an eternity.
Right.
Not that anybody expects him to be a go-to guy, but he's a good mentor who's been around.
Yeah,
he's consistently bad offensively, but he plays good defense.
Right. Quick question from our buddy, the Shark fan. Any thoughts? Ryan wants to know if we think that the Sharks can make the playoffs. Ryan, a boy can dream. That's what I can tell you. Okay, a boy can dream. Hang in there, buddy. Don't give up.
Can they make the playoffs? Let's see. The Sharks enter today 10 points behind Vegas for the second wild card.
Oof.
They do have 3 games in hand, but you still have to leapfrog Vancouver and Winnipeg and Dallas. And Dallas has played 1 less game than San Jose. On the plus side, at least you don't have to worry about the Ducks anymore because they've dropped 9 in a row.
Right.
To drop below San Jose in the standings. Let me just see who the Sharks have coming up to give us a good idea as to. Well, they've got the Coyotes Wednesday. That's their next game apparently, so they get a couple days off.
They're 10 back of the playoff.
Yeah, but they have 3 games in hand.
All right, so what they got? There's like 15 or 16 games left.
Yeah, they've got 17 left, I think.
Okay, if they have 17 left, and they're 10 games out, they're going to have to play
10 points out.
10 points out. I'm sorry, 10 points, right? 10 points out. You're still going to have to play 700 ball to get there.
Or hope that Vegas keeps falling apart, which is entirely possible.
But
I think the critical stretch for them right now is going to be coming up right next. You've got 3 games in 4 days this week, Ryan. You've got Arizona on the road Wednesday. Then you got to turn around and go to Colorado Thursday.
Oops.
Then it's home against Dallas on Saturday. And then next week you get Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver. If they struggle in this 6-game stretch, you can pretty much turn the lights out. It's not going to be like Motel 6 where Tom Baudette's going to leave the light on for you.
I don't think they can even go 3-3.
Well, I mean, they should beat Arizona.
Yeah.
The Dallas game's at home, so that works in their favor because Dallas is a better team at the American Airlines Center than they are at home or on the road.
They're on the road.
They'll need good goaltending to beat Colorado.
Yeah.
Edmonton, I don't know. It depends which Edmonton team you get. Do you get the Edmonton team that's played well, or do you get the Edmonton team that gave up 9 goals the other night?
And you got Vancouver, which is trying to do the same thing you're doing.
Yeah, that's true too.
They want to get in there too. So
I mean, if they can play decent hockey there, the closing stretch for them over the last 3 weeks isn't bad because you've got at Nashville, at Chicago, at Dallas again, then at Minnesota, but then you get Columbus, St. Louis, and Chicago at home.
Mm-hmm.
then at Vegas, then you get a home game with the Ducks, and then you close with road games at Edmonton and Seattle. So the back half of that stretch is a lot easier than what you're going into right now. But if you're San Jose, I know you beat Calgary on the road last week.
Mm-hmm.
You beat Anaheim, and of course they beat Arizona last week as well. Uh, they're going to have to get through this stretch with a decent enough record to keep pressure on everybody. If they don't, it's going to be a tough night.
Talking about the Ice, the Oilers, and the Coyotes, there they are right in front of us.
Yeah, how about that?
That's
The Oilers,
called promo.
it's called foreshadowing, kids.
Yeah, exactly.
The Oilers are a prohibitive favorite. They're at home here. The Coyotes 20-40-5. They're 11-18-4 on the road. Edmonton 36-25-5 on the season. They come in 20-12 on home ice. The ever exciting goaltending matchup of Karel Vejmelka 10-25-2 with a 334 goals against a 906 save percentage of one shutout for Arizona because they traded Scott Wedgwood because why not?
Yeah.
Against the Oilers, Mikko Koskinen 23-10-3 with a 317 goals against an 899 save percentage and one shutout. The biggest difference between these teams, because neither one of them has done a great job keeping the puck out of their own net. The Coyotes are 27th in goals against 354. The Oilers 23rd at 326. The difference is offense. Arizona 31st in goals against at 2.55. They slipped back a bit after that hot stretch where they were scoring 4 or 5 goals a night for about 6 games. Meanwhile, Edmonton, 7th in the league in goals for at 339. I guess that's what happens when you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl leading the way for you. The Oilers are 5-0 in their last 5 as a favorite. They're 5-0 in their last 5 as a home favorite. They're 6-0 in their last 6 at home. Meanwhile, Arizona just 1-5 in their last 6 against Pacific Division teams. They're 0-4 in their last 4 after scoring 2 goals or less in their last contest. And they're 1-4 in the last 5 meetings between these two teams. Silva, you're right. Edmonton's defense is not that good. The problem is Arizona's has been worse. And the offensive differential between those two teams is kind of galling when you look at it. Arizona.
You got hat trick written all over Connor McDavid on this one.
Yeah, Arizona has scored a grand total of, let's see, 167 goals in 65 games this year. Edmonton, meanwhile, has scored 227. So you're talking about almost a full goal per game more over the course of the year for Edmonton. I just think that the offense, plus being at the the Rogers Arena or whatever. Yeah. I still remember the Northlands Coliseum. Shows how old I am.
So this might even be a big one for the over, right?
It's possible. If this could be a chance for Arizona to break out offensively against a putrid Edmonton defense. Like we said, just gave up 9 to the Flames the other night.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at that game for a little while, and it was 6-5 at the end of the second intermission. I'm like, well, said to myself, because that's me.
Yes.
There's no point in looking at any kind of defense in this game because there isn't any.
Right.
Looking of late, 7 of the last 10 meetings between these teams have actually ended up under the number, but the most recent meeting was a 5-3 Edmonton win on the road on November 24th. So 3 of the last 5 have gone over, but before that there was 5 straight unders.
Okay. All right, next up from Edmonton and Arizona, we go to...
Do we go to Cleveland? No.
Not unless they got a hockey team.
They got the Crunch.
Yeah, that's true. Hurricanes and Le Capitals.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Hurricanes. I know that everybody likes Washington. Washington hasn't played as well as I expected this season. And I don't know if it's goaltending. I don't know if it's off-ice issues. I saw they threw apples the other day when Backstrom scored. What the hell was that about?
Those were actually what they did, and this is marketing 101. Don't ever give somebody something they can throw on the ice. It was Nick Backstrom assist. He had gotten his 1,000th assist last week on the road, so this was his first game back. So they gave out commemorative rubber balls that I don't know why they gave that out, but they did. And so when Nicky put them ahead 4-2 or 3-2. They instead of throwing hats on the ice, they threw the rubber balls on the ice, and fortunately, the guys were quick enough to take the hockey sticks and bat them back into the stands, so that they didn't get a delay of game penalty for it. So yeah, those were red rubber balls that were thrown on the ice.
Yeah, well, there you go. So that explains that. In this case, I'm still going to go with Carolina. I just think, Hurricanes have played good hockey. They're 43-15-7. They lead the Metropolitan Division. On the flip side, we've got a Washington team that's 37-20-10, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting night there. Frederick Anderson, 31-10-3 with a 207 goals against a 926 save percentage and 3 shutouts against Vitek Vanacek, who's 17-9-5 with a 245 goals against a 917 save percentage and 3 shutouts. Hurricanes are 9th in goals for at 331. They're first in goals against at 2.37. Caps are 11th in goals for at 327, 11th in goals against. The Hurricanes 16-5 in their last 21 on one-day arrest. 16-6 in their last 22 after scoring at least 5 goals in their last game. And they're 36-15 in their last 51 as a favorite. Washington 8-18 in their last 26 on Monday. I know this game's at the Capital One Arena. I'm still going to lean towards the Hurricanes in this one.
Well, I mean, Washington has had an inconsistent season so far, and we'll see. Vanacek played a decent game against the other night against who were they playing? Goodness, New Jersey, and so it wasn't spectacular. And Jersey's not exactly a scoring machine, but they came back and won the game. It was, as I said, it was tied 2-2. Nicky got a goal, putting them ahead 3-2. They then Ovechkin made it 4-2. And they scored a garbage goal late, and it was a 4-3 game. But Carolina's playing well, so you gotta give credit to the Canes, and it'll be tough sliding tonight at the Cap Center.
That's true.
So anyway, all right. So that's it for the ice tonight. Before we go to the association, and we will. Let's talk a little bit about Chris King. Now, every day Chris will send you his best parlay tickets to play, usually made up of 1, 2, or 4 teamers, even greater. Now, not every time are you going to win, but playing the odds with Chris, usually things turn out pretty fun. In the last 3 weeks, Chris has won 2 16 parlays, 2 14 parlays, 1 16 parlay, 2 18 parlays, which would earn a better of $100, over $30,000 in winnings. Now, if you want these sent, you got to go to the show box below. Details on how to get Chris's parlays sent to your email box is in the link in the show box below. Check it out. All right. Okay. Away we go to the association. And tonight, the association, it's not going to be those 2 teams. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, the Bulls favored by 4 over the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. The Knicks 33-42, they're 15-21 at home. They're coming off a 2-point win yesterday on the road against the Pistons. The Bulls coming off that 4-point win over Cleveland over the weekend. Bulls are 11th in scoring offense at 111.6. They're second in field goal percentage. They're second in 3-point shooting. The Knicks are 7th in scoring defense, 5th in field goal percentage defense, 8th in 3-point defense. Unfortunately for the Knicks, they don't score a ton of points. They're 27th in scoring offense. They are 27th in field goal percentage and 11th in 3-point shooting. The Bulls are a middle-of-the-road team defensively as far as scoring defense. They're 24th in field goal percentage defense. They're 24th in 3-point defense. The Bulls 34-16-1 in their last 51 as a favorite. The Knicks 1-8 against the spread in their last 9 at home. and 0-5 in their last 5 as a home underdog. Playing the second game of a back-to-back doesn't go well for the Knicks. I know they're 5-5 in those situations this season, but I think Chicago gets the upper hand on them here.
Quick question from JPZ.
Yeah, I think when you read it, you said one teamer, and there's no such thing as a one team parlay. So I think he was just making fun of it.
Okay. One team parlay is called a bet.
Nathan, I'm not getting into spring baseball. I'm waiting for the games to actually mean something. I'll leave that to Steen and Reichel. There's just too much
inconsistency.
There you go.
Whoops. Oh, that was my fault.
That's all right.
Nope. That's my fault again. All right, you hit it. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to go with the Hawks over the Pacers. The Hawks are a 500 team. Indiana playing at a 333 clip on the year. Hawks are 7th in scoring offense, 9th in field goal percentage, 3rd in three-point shooting. Indiana struggles on the defensive end of the floor. They're 25th in scoring defense, 28th in field goal percentage defense, 28th in three-point defense. Indiana, middle of the road in scoring offense, 18th in field goal percentage, 26th in three-point shooting. The Hawks are 23rd in scoring defense, 26th in field goal percentage defense, 25th in three-point defense. Hawks 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 on the road against teams with a losing home record. Pacers 1-5 in their last spread. In their last 6 as a home underdog against the spread. They're 1-5 in their last 6 playing on 1 day of rest. They're 0-4 in their last 4 after a straight-up loss. Just don't have any faith in Indiana right now. They've played miserable basketball. They lost to Sacramento last week. They got blown out by Toronto in a game that was delayed by fire and smoke at the Scotiabank Arena. They're just a team playing things out. So I'm going to roll with the Hawks with Trae Young and company in this one.
Which makes a lot of sense, given what's going on with Indiana. You definitely don't want to get into that routine. So, let me move back to where we're talking about. And Super Sly wants everybody to know that Steamrollers Royals today are a minus 105. It's tempting. So, all right. If you're going to do that, go for it, buddy. It's not necessarily something we would recommend, but hey, there you go. So, all right. We want to go for 2 for the money?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Kind of need to zip along here.
Yeah.
I sent you a message about it, so.
Why not?
Like I said, the Bulls over the Knicks, pretty much a given, the way the New York has played. I'm going to go with Edmonton over Arizona, like we talked about, the Hawks over the Pacers, and Carolina over Washington. These are all going to work in the favor of, hopefully, the teams we've talked about. Let's look for some better days for some of these teams, because I know that, we've seen the Bulls struggle a bit. They're at least getting healthy again. They're just minus Lonzo Ball.
And moving on to 4 for the show.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with South Alabama. I know it's the line shifted quite a bit. I just think playing at home is going to work for the Jaguars. Southern Utah over Fresno State with the points. Like I said, if you're going straight up, I would take Fresno State. The money line, I think, is minus 3.25 or something like that. Vancouver, they're going to start Yaroslav Halak tonight against my better judgment. Bruce Boudreau making that decision. The way St. Louis has played lately, they've been getting waxed of late. I'm going to take the Canucks on the road over the Blues. The game means more to Vancouver at this point. And Memphis at home over Golden State. Golden State lost 123-115 at home, or on the road, against Washington yesterday. Now they have to play the second game of back-to-back. They still don't have Curry. They don't have James Wiseman, who's apparently not going to play at all this season now from latest reports. Iguodala is banged up. I know that Morant won't be playing for Memphis, but Memphis has a lot of other weapons that they can use. So I look for the Grizzlies to get the win at home at the FedEx Forum.
And time for the big one. This is the menu, folks.
Yeah, I look for Coastal Carolina and South Alabama to stay under the total. Both teams play very good defense. Um, so I look for that to be a low scoring game. Same token, if Fresno State plays their tempo, this game ends up under the total with Southern Utah. On top of that, San Antonio and Houston under 234.5. I don't see how either one of these teams scores a ton of points, even with bad defenses, because their offenses aren't that good. And there's a lot of injuries. I'm going to go with Boston plus 4.5 over Toronto. I know Robert Williams is supposed to miss some time. The Celtics also play the second game of back-to-back as they rolled over Minnesota yesterday. Jaylen Brown is also going to miss tonight's game. Oh, of course, now I see all these injury report changes. No wonder why the line moved. Tatum and Brown are both out. So is Al Horford. So you might want to rethink that one. These guys, Brown and Tatum, weren't on the report when I did the slide. So that line probably moved a whole bunch more since then. So watch out for that. Miami's the team in free fall right now, and I don't understand what their problem is other than Jimmy Butler trying to fight you down as Haslam. Until they figure it out, I'm going to fade them a little bit. Sacramento's getting a whole bunch of points, and they've played some okay basketball of late. I'll take the points in the Kings.
Thunder and Blazers.
Yeah, the game that nobody wants to watch because if you look at the injury report, everybody's out. So it's a battle of attrition. Gilgeous Alexander's out. Giddy's out. Tyler Jerome is out. Lou Dort is out. Basley's doubtful for Oklahoma City. For the Trailblazers, Bledsoe's out. Hart is out. Ingles is out. Lillard's out. Little's out. Nurkic is out. Simons is out. Trendon Watford's out. Justice Winslow is out. It probably would have been easier if I just said who was in. A bunch of people we don't know. I'm going to lean towards Oklahoma City. Kraken and the Kings. I think the Kings will win this game, but I look for it to stay under the total. The Kings won 4-2 the other night. The other game between them was 3-1. I don't expect a ton of goals there. I know that Tim's Sabres for the Cup and all that, but I just think they're playing the second game of back-to-back too because they played the Rangers yesterday, losing in overtime. I think Chicago prevails at home at the United Center. Watch for the total in that one going over too, because now the Flurry's gone. It's Kevin Lankinen and Connor Delia net for Chicago. Not really a crew that you're impressed by. Carolina and Washington, I look at over 6. Both teams have the ability to put the puck in the net with regularity. They're both top 10 offenses. And Vancouver and St. Louis, I look to stay under the number. This, of course, was before they decided to go with Halak over Demko, but I just think it'll be a lower scoring game. I think the Blues have to figure out how to play in their own zone again.
Ain't as easy as it looks. And speaking of, but there is something easy as it looks, and that is our buddies at Caesars. And Caesars Sportsbook, March Madness promo, easy for you to say. Bet $20 or more on a men's college basketball game, get $200 free bet if the team you pick scores a single point. Odds boosts and profit boosts do not qualify. You must use the promo code, which of course is WAW, Winners and Winers, MAR, first 3 letters of March, and the number 2, okay? And you can find all that in the show box below. Remember that you must be 21 years of age to play, and always, always, always bet responsibly, okay? All right, let's talk a second real quick about our entire network in case you have not yet gotten to see everybody. Well, that's shame on you. All right, the Max Wagers Network begins at noon with Sean Higgs. Then it's Allie Burns from 1 to 2. Then we show up between 2 and 3, as you all know. Scott and Scott take you back to the window at 3 to 4, and game time decisions with Nick, Tim, and Detroit Lenny carry you from 5 all the way to 6 o'clock. That's about 6 hours of wagering information from people who know what they're talking about. So by all means, we love to chat with you. Check out our friends. You'll enjoy them as well. All right. Any final thoughts there, Christopher, as we get ready to roll here on a Monday afternoon?
No, I think, tomorrow will be a better day with the NIT than it was for college hoops today. But just remember to bet wisely when you place wagers, folks. I don't want to hear how you couldn't pay your rent or your mortgage because you bet a bunch of stuff on a game that meant nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. There's a lot of things going on in this world that you don't need to worry about. But this one, yeah, bet wisely. All right. So, any final questions, class, before we get out of here on a Monday? See anything there, Chris?
No, I think we covered everything.
We got it all. All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, tell you what, we're gonna be moving on. But as I said before, be sure to check out the shows. Scott and Scott coming up in about 15 minutes at 3 o'clock, and then Lenny and the boys will show up at 5. So you still got plenty of stuff to do. If you missed the show, don't worry. You can catch us on the podcast, wherever you get your podcast. And also come back and check out, the show right here on YouTube or on Facebook, whichever you are watching it on. Okay. All right. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Williams for my buddy Chris King. We shall return tomorrow at 2 o'clock right here on Just Parlays with Chris King.